Have you ever wondered why you act differently around your boss than with your best friend? Or why stepping into a leadership role feels like you're becoming someone new? What if I told you that power isn't just about control or influence? It's actually shaping your identity in ways you've never considered. Stick around because today we're diving into the psychology of power and how it's silently sculpting who you are. Hey everyone, I'm Lem Usita and welcome back to the channel. I've spent over 20 years as a professor and coach helping young adults discover their identity and unlock their potential. On this channel, we explore the deep, often unseen forces that shape who you are. And today we're exploring how French and Raven's groundbreaking research on power reveals profound truths about identity formation. If you've ever felt stuck in a role or wondered why you struggle to break free from certain patterns, this is for you. First, we'll watch a 5-minute excerpt from the Identity and Influence podcast that I did with Dr. Michael David Morales, where I provide an overview of the power bases. Then I will talk through how we can integrate French and Raven's bases of power with identity.
So explain to us these power bases and their significance and why they're what make leadership effective.
Okay, so French and Raven are these researchers, and they came up with this framework, power bases. Understanding this framework and understanding these concepts really helped me to understand how I was leading and how to better lead. And so there are these 5 power bases, the original 5 power bases, and then Raven, like 6 years later, added another power, but we'll kind of get there. So the first power base is what they call coercive. This is the power to punish or coerce others into doing something. It operates on fear and threat of negative consequences. So leaders who rely on coercive power often use sanctions, or withdrawals of privilege to influence behavior. And so while coercive power can be effective in short term, it can lead to resentment and disengagement that overuse. So coercive power equals punishment power. Reward power is the power to reward others for their actions, whether through praise, promotion, financial incentives, and other benefits. So leaders who use reward power understand that people are motivated by positive reinforcement. However, it's important for leaders to be mindful how they distribute rewards, because out of it, you can foster favoritism or inconsistency can erode trust and diminish the effectiveness of reward power. So once you keep rewarding, like they're going to want bigger rewards and they're going to want it more often, you know what I mean? And so like only using reward power, like it feels good and there's positive reinforcement, but the overuse of this power can have like consequences that erode your trust and your influence. So reward power is just the power to legitimate power. This is the next power. It's legitimate. This is power that comes from a formal position or role. So it's positional power. It often refers to the power of the office, positional power, the head coach, president of the United States, it's their position as the leader. So people follow leaders with legitimate power because they recognize their authority based on their title and position. However, legitimate power alone is not enough to sustain long-term leadership effectiveness. It must be complemented by other forms of power, particularly when followers question and challenge the leader's authority. So power is position. And as you're seeing, like so far these power bases, the more you use it, if you only use one of it lessens your impact. The fourth power base is expert power. This is the power based on knowledge or expertise. So leaders who have expert powers are followed because they are seen as knowledgeable or skilled in a particular area. Their authority comes from their competence and people trust their judgment. Expert power is highly valuable, especially in technical fields or areas requiring specialized knowledge. However, here's like the downside of this process. Leaders who rely solely on expert power can run the risk of becoming disconnected from the interpersonal relationship aspect of it. And so you can have expert power, but if you only use that and use it too much, you lose that interpersonal or relational aspect of it. Now, you notice in these first 4 power bases, coercive, reward, legitimate, and expert power, they're good in the short term, but if you only wield one of these powers in the long term, you lose some. The last power base is called referent power. And this is, I think, the differentiator. This is often considered the most powerful form of leadership power. It's the most powerful power base. Referent power is based on personal traits or relationships. Leaders with referent power are followed because people admire, respect, and identify with them. It's the "I will follow you" kind of power, based not on coercion or formal authority, but on the leader's ability to build strong relationships and inspiring growth. In many ways, referent power is the ultimate measure of leadership effectiveness because it speaks to the leader's ability to create trust, respect, and emotional connections with followers. So referent power is that, like, "I will follow you anywhere" power. Referent power is also the only power base that needs to be given to the leader. Like, you can earn positional power, you can earn reward, the ability to reward people or coerce people, or you can gain the knowledge and expertise of the leader. But if you don't have referent power is only power that someone gives to you. You can't wield it unless somebody gives it to you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what makes it the most powerful power base. And I think it's the only power base where the more you use it, the more influence and the more, like, power you have. Back in the 1950s, two psychologists, John French and Bertram Raven, identified 5 and then later 6 bases of power. These are the ways we influence others and how others influence us. Here's a quick breakdown. Number 1, legitimate power, authority that comes from a role or position. Number 2, expert power, influence from specialized knowledge or skills. Number 3, referent power, being admired or respected. Number 4, reward power, the ability to provide incentives or benefits. Number 5, coercive power, using punishment to enforce compliance. Number 6, informational power, sharing or withholding information to influence others. But here's where it gets interesting. These power dynamics don't just affect your relationship, they directly impact your identity. Let's break it down. Each of these power bases interacts with your sense of self in a unique way. Legitimate power: if you're in a position of authority like a manager or a teacher, your identity often aligns with that role. You might start seeing yourself as responsible, decisive, or even pressured to live up to expectations. But what happens when you leave that role? Many people experience an identity crisis because they've tied their self-worth to a title. Expert power: when you're the go-to person for something, it feels amazing, right? You're seen as competent and valuable, but here's the catch. If your expertise is ever challenged, it can shake your confidence in your identity. Referent power: this is all about relationships. When people admire you or look up to you, it reinforces a relational identity. You might see yourself as a connector, influencer, or someone who's needed, but if that admiration fades, it can leave you questioning your value. Reward power: when you're in a position to give, whether it's recognition, promotions, or even gifts, you start seeing yourself as a provider or a motivator. But if the rewards dry up, what happens to your sense of influence and your identity? Coercive power: using punishment or authority to control can make you feel powerful in the moment, but it often leads to inner conflict. Who wants to be the bad guy? Over time, this can create tension between how you act and how you see yourself. Informational power: sharing knowledge can cement your identity as a teacher or guide, but using information manipulatively, that can lead to internal dissonance if it clashes with your values. So why does this matter? Power dynamics aren't just about external influence, they're internal too. How you wield or respond to it directly shapes your self-perception. For example, if you've always been subject to coercive power, you might see yourself as compliant or even rebellious. If you're recognized for your expertise, you might over-identify with your skills, forgetting there's more to you than what you know. Power doesn't just shape how others see you, it shapes how you see yourself. Now here's the good news. You can navigate these dynamics consciously to shape your identity in a way that feels authentic, and here's how. You reflect on your roles. Ask yourself, what power dynamics are at play in my life right now, and how are they shaping how I see myself? Then you can separate Identity from power. Remember, your worth isn't tied to your role, your expertise, or your influence. You're more than what you do. Then you can seek feedback. Sometimes you can't see the full picture. Ask trusted friends or mentors how they perceive your use of power and what that says about your identity. And then stay grounded in your values. Whether you're in a position of power or not, anchoring your identity in your core values helps you navigate challenges without losing yourself. Now here's the takeaway. Power isn't just something we use, it's something that uses us, shaping who we are in ways we often don't notice. But by understanding the dynamics of power, you can take control of your identity and show up authentically in every area of your life. So let me ask you, which of French and Raven's power bases resonates most with you? How has it shaped your sense of self? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this video gave you an aha moment, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more insights on identity and personal growth. Until next time, keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep showing up as the real you.